grade 9, we have already started speaking about the early Greek thinkers, artists, and also writers. To speak about them, we have mentioned some of the most important things about them. That for those philosophers, they were considered to be lovers of wisdom, and they always used logic, which is the rational thinking, in order to persuade some people with their own opinions. And they sought for knowing the truth, for the sake of the truth itself. And also, we have some people from those thinkers that were called the sophists. Those sophists, they used the rhetoric while speaking to people in order to persuade them. One of them was Socrates, and Socrates was for the most one of the well-known philosophers over the course of history. Socrates himself, he has debated that those people have become corrupted and we have faded away from our course. So we need to altern the people and we need to present the truth for the people. By presenting the truth, he used his own method, which is named after him, the Socratic method. That method simply just asking people some questions, and from those questions he will get to the ultimate truth. Okay, he started by people question to introduce the truth for them, and that by their own mind. So by their own response, they will come to know the truth. Unfortunately, this did not like the corrupted men in his society. Consequently, they have asked for his trial for treason and corrupting the youth. Unfortunately, 501 citizens entered the jury, and most of them approved for his execution. So he took the poison, which is the hemlock poison. His most well-known and famous student, which is Plato, after his teacher was killed by that action, he fled from Athens for 10 years. After he came back, he opened a school and he called it the Academy. In the Academy, he followed his teacher's footprints and he continued by presenting the ideas and the facts for the people. Even in his book, The Republic, he discussed a version of the ideal state, which is known for the ideal society. That ideal society includes three main categories. The first one are the workers, the second, soldier, and last but not least, the philosophers. By doing so, this society will become to be elite and ideal as much as needed. And the most elite people to rule must be philosopher. Even our king must be a philosopher king, because only philosophers rule a society. Plato thought that in general men were supposed to women, yet also he knew that some talented women were superior to men, and those talented women must be educated in order to serve the state. That's what we have already studied. Any question in it? Anything that you did not understand from what we have covered?
So just Socrates tries to tell the people that the government is corrupted, but the government said Socrates is corrupted and executed him or something. Then his student continued on his teachings.
Yes, that's a fact. And their students will come to follow them later, which is Aristotle, which we are going to study today. Okay?
All right.
All right. So the Socratic method, simply, okay? So while using the Socratic method in order to introduce information for the people and presenting the truth for them, he will just ask a question, make a statement.
Teacher.
I believe your voice is cutting now. Try to log out and open again.
Okay.
So once again, and the Socratic method, what we do, ask a question, we make a statement, or we express a raw idea. While doing so, okay, just imagine with me right now. I'll make a statement. My statement is that there is no coronavirus. Do you agree or disagree?
I
I
disagree.
disagree.
Okay, that's what we need. So, for the people in his society in the time of Socrates, most people they have information, and this information was misleading. So he tried to present the truth. While presenting the truth, they refused. For example, I'm telling you now there is no coronavirus, and you disagree. Of course, this is just example. Okay, there is coronavirus. But if I'm telling you that there is no coronavirus, so if he's telling the people that they are corrupted, the society is corrupted, they will refuse. After they will refuse, okay, so you are refusing now. Let's continue. He would pick up premises and re-examine them. Like I would tell you, do you know anyone who is affected by coronavirus? Anyone from your relatives? Anyone from your friends
Well, I
got
know
infected
people
by
who
coronavirus?
were. I know people who were affected, but now they're good.
So how do you know that? Let's seek example now. So none of you now knows anyone, but you know some people who were infected and now they got better. So let's seek more examples. So how do you know that they were affected by or infected by coronavirus?
They couldn't taste food or smell stuff, and they were
Well,
sneezing like crazy.
when you got flu, you cannot taste food. When you got some sort of other diseases, you cannot also taste food. While sneezing, by having a common cold, you will sneeze a lot. So there is a million reasons for having these symptoms, except for coronavirus, which is ambiguous to us, especially that this virus does exist like 30 or 40 years ago, right? It's corona virus, and coronaviruses do exist from a very, very long time. So why did they change right now and became pandemic? So let's find out another valid premises. If you are seeking that coronavirus is true, so okay, I'm with you. I agree with you. But I have taken like 4 tests of coronavirus. All of them are negative, and I have come counter people who were diagnosed by coronavirus, and I ate with them, and I drank coffee with them, and I stayed with them, and we shook hands together, and all of this, and he was infected by coronavirus, and he was sneezing in front of me. So why didn't I get infected? Of course, guys, I'm just presenting some examples. Okay,
Well,
okay, that's just an
maybe
example.
maybe
Okay,
your immune system is strong. You have
okay,
powerful immune
perhaps.
system.
All right. So simply, guys, and that's how Socrates starts to present the truth for the people. And remember that Socrates was one of sophists who used the words in a rhetoric method in order to convince people. So he started asking questions and presenting ideas and information until they finally would come to the truth or the general principle he admits. And even if they refuse in one of his stages of question, he will restate them and re-examine the information to provide them once again until eventually they will become convinced and they will come to know the truth. And because of this, guys, his method were very effective. And by being effective, then by being so effective, okay, other corrupted people started to fear him because now he has the ability to just change the youth mind and present the truth to them. And by doing so, those people, those corrupted men, were so afraid of the Socratic method. Okay, that's why they convicted him to death. Any question?
No.
Okay, moving to the third philosopher about the Greek state, which is one of the most important philosophers over the course of history, like his teacher. We have Aristotle. In Arabic, we call him Aristo. His name is Aristotle. Okay, in Arabic, we call him Aristo. For Aristotle, guys, he was Plato's student. So we have first Socrates, his student is Plato, and Plato's student is Aristotle. Okay, connect the three of them. Socrates, his student Plato, and his student Aristotle. Aristotle seeks the golden mean. So let's speak about the golden mean of Socrates. Yusuf, can you read, please?
Yes. Aristotle seeks the golden mean. Plato's most famous student, Aristotle, developed his own ideas about government. He analyzed all forms of government, from monarchy to democracy, and found good and bad examples of each. Like Plato, he was suspicious of democracy, which he thought could lead to mob rule. In the end, he favored rule by a single strong and virtuous leader. Aristotle has also addressed the question of how people ought to live in this of how people ought to live. In his view, good conduct meant pursuing the golden mean, a moderate course between the extremes. He promoted reason as the guiding force for learning. He set up a school, the Lyceum, for the study of all branches of knowledge. He left writings on politics, ethics, logic, biology, literature, and many other subjects. When he when the first European universities evolved some 1,500 years ago, or years later, their courses were based largely on the works and ideas of Aristotle.
So Aristotle is just like his teacher Plato. He just refused that form of government that was governing Athens by that time, and he sought very much for seeking the truth. That all forms of government, from monarchy to democracy, he studied and found fault in all of them. That none of them is good enough for us in Athens. So he started seeking some results and some when you have a problem and you see the result. So he started seeking some answers for those problems, and he came to counter the same thing as his teacher, which is we must have a mob rule. This mob rule will be led to us because we have a corrupted system. So we must have one single strong, virtuous leader who will be able to take us from our backward and uprise us to the future. Aristotle also he addressed some of the more important questions about how people ought to live.
Teacher,
What
I
is
have a
a golden
question.
mean? Yes, Salim.
For the project, can I what's it called? Can I use the book for it? Like use some stuff out of the book?
Yes, you can include information from the book, of course.
Okay.
All right. So again, Aristotle he sought for something that is called the golden mean. Okay. So which is a moderate course between the extreme, meaning that all of us right now are living in a very, very bad situation because of the monarchy, the democracy, the oligarchy, or any type of form of the government. So why not try to combine all of forms of government together to come to the golden mean, which is something between all of them. This thing will just lead our country and city-state of Athens to its prosperity and flourishment. So he promoted the reason, okay, and guidance for learning, and he left for us a variety of writing, and he opened that school of lithium. Okay, that school of lithium he opened included many branches in politics, ethics, logic, biology, literature, and many other subjects, and still up this day most of his writings are still to be taught in the universities. Okay, so about Aristotle, once again, he was Plato's most famous student. Okay, he disliked the system of government, okay, whether it's monarchy or democracy, he just disliked that, and he just wanted a single strong leader who can seek the flourishment of his people, and he wanted us to have a golden mean. That golden mean is a moderate course between the extremes of government, and he left for us a variety of books, politics, ethics, logic, biology, literature, and many other subjects. All right. Any questions so far?
No questions.
Okay. Jumping to conveying ideals in any civilization
Your
over
voice
the course of
just
history.
lagged.
Yes, teacher.
I
Hello?
wasn't able to understand it.
Your voice like this.
Hello?
Yeah, now I hear it, but before it was like I couldn't understand it.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So back to our topic, conveying ideals in the architecture. At any civilization, guys, any civilization over the course of history, once it takes care of its architecture and its fine arts, then this civilization must be a developed one. Because if you are living in a fancy house, so you are eating well, right? If I'm living in a very fancy house, so I have money, so I will eat well, right? But if I can't even find money for food, will I be able to live in a fancy house?
No.
So once you get to any civilization and you find out that they are taking much interest in their architecture, you must know that they are living in the fancy house. So all aspects of life are now provided to them. Plato argued that every object on earth has its own ideal form. Any object must be ideal. Okay, so while doing something, you must do it in its own ideal form. The work of ancient Greek artists and architecture reflected a similar concern with balance, order, and also beauty. Actually, the sculptors of those ancient Greek artists, they are the best well known over the course of history because simply they studied the anatomy first before making these sculptures. So they studied about the human body and how it works, how the muscles work, how many if you did something, a movement, how many veins will be shown to the public, and they studied that. So, for example, if we just took a quick look in, say, Greek sculpture, for example, okay, see here how the muscles are presented in this photo, how the muscles are presented because of the way he just puts his hand. Of course, this muscle will never be shown unless he puts his hand in that way. The muscles of his chest, the veins in his arm, and that's just sculpture. Can you imagine that? Okay, so those architects, they studied. Yeah, he is in anguish. Yes, he's in pain. He just lost his wife. It's not our topic, colleague. So they studied the architecture very well, so that they can present for us those magnificent sculptures. So monumental architecture, of course, we have come to counter the Parthenon. Now, what do you know about the Parthenon? Do you know anything about the Parthenon?
It's the first time I've ever heard that name.
Oh no, you must be kidding. All right. So the Parthenon, guys. Parthenon.
Teacher, can we write we read the paragraph, then we
Okay, so this was the Parthenon. Okay, the Parthenon was the temple resembled for the goddess Athena. The city of Athens took its name from the goddess Athena. So the Parthenon was the place where they worshipped her, and also the place where they gathered for having conversations about the day-to-day activities of the government. The Parthenon also includes a variety of places and other sculptures for other gods like Zeus, etc. And of course, if you look to this art, how just a rectangular with very simple pillars and a roof. Very simple, yet elegant. Very simple, yet it's very, very elegant in its design. Okay. So Greek architects sought to convey a sense of perfect balance. And this balance, of course, between the shape and sorry for that, a perfect balance between the shape and the purpose to reflect harmony and order of the universe itself. The most famous example of the Greek architecture is the Parthenon. The Parthenon was a temple dedicated for the goddess Athena, and of course Athena, they took the city's name from this goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom. The basic plan of the Parthenon is a simple rectangle with tall columns supporting a gently sloping roof. The delicate curves and placement of the columns add dignity and grace. So very simple yet very elegant, presenting a perfect palette of beauty and harmony with the nature. Greek architects also, Greek architecture has been widely admired for centuries. Today, many public buildings throughout the world have incorporated Greek architecture elements such as columns in their design. So again, the Greek people have affected us nowadays. What about crafting lifelike human forms? Of course, in the early Greek sculptors carved figures in stiff, lifeless pots, similar in style to the art of ancient Egyptian. But by the year 450 BC, however, Greek sculptors had developed a new style that emphasized more natural forms. So, despite that they were similar of those of the ancient Egyptians, yet the early Greek sculptors, they emphasized more natural forms, while their work was lifelike. So if you looked at all of the ancient Greek sculptures, you will find that the sculptures that they made were like lifelike humans, okay, presenting the life of humans. But the ancient Egyptians, the art of the ancient Egyptian resembled was not all of it like human-like using the dogs there. This one, for example, Anubis here taking the life of the king, so it was not like a human life or a lifelike. On the other hand, those of the Greek people was lifelike. like the only Greek paintings to survive are on pottery, like those. They offer an intriguing view of everyday Greek life. Women carry water from wells, warriors race to battle, and also athletes compete in javelin contests. Each scene is designed to fit the shape of the pottery it holds. And is there any questions so far?
So far, so good.
And so good it is today. If you don't have any question, that's gonna be it for